Father told me that when I give a share, it's recorded. I have to put a bracha online. I shouldn't have a bracha before. People shouldn't think that I already got a bracha. All right. There's a letter of the Friedrich Rebbe regarding Tehillim HaShabbos Mevorchim, and over there it says you have to learn a Maimer Berabim after the Tehillim. Why is the minhag not so bepoil? Everyone's careful about saying Tehillim, but we don't find in shuls around the world, in Chabad shuls, that they're careful about having a shir for learning a Maimer Berabim. So I do not know the answer, but I think the answer might be that because Tehillim are different speeds. Everyone has their own speed for saying Tehillim. The regular Baruch Yeshiva probably, if he's honest with himself, it'll take him between 2 to 3 hours saying Tehillim. The regular Balabos, when he says it, takes him between 45 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. And then you have the Balabatim that are Bachrim and the Bachrim that are Balabatim, you have different speeds. So really, if you have a group of 10 people, very rare that you'll have all 10 people finishing the Tehillim at the same time. One person will finish it at this time, that's for the other 10 minutes, and so on. So it could be that the reason why the Maimer Berabim didn't really take off so much is because when the Tehillim was over, the people that were still straggling behind wanted to finish their Tehillim. So they continued saying Tehillim. The other guys are ready to start learning a Maimer, to start learning on their own. And Mamela, could be that's the reason why it never kicked off, that everyone should be finished at the same time and learn a Maimer together. But again, that's my opinion. I don't know for sure if that's true or not. Why does yeshiva not let shups? Those that don't know, a shup is a hairstyle. More hair sticking on top of your head. So in the Shulchan Aruch, Simen in Yeridei Simen Kufay and Ches, there's halachas of chukes ha'ivdei kechavim about the isser for a yid to behave like a goy, and it says in Shulchan Aruch very, very clearly, Ein hoilchin b'chukes ha'ivdei kechavim. You cannot go in the goyim's ways. V'la yilbash malbush ha'meyuchad lahem. You cannot wear clothing that belong to them, or their style clothing. And do not grow the hair on top of your head in a style that the goyim wear. So I really do not know. I know that in the Litvish Shavel, but in the Misnagdim, it's very common to have chups. And I don't know what their makar is. I'm sure some of them are very frum and some of them are careful. They might not, I'm sure they have a tatum, but I don't know what their heter is. And Shulchan Aruch clearly says you're not allowed to grow your hair in a style of tzitzis, just like tzitzis, the strings coming out, and the hair should be longer in the front than the other sides. It's clearly also in Shulchan Aruch, completely also 100%, no heter whatsoever. If a person has long hair and then he starts making a style, it's a different story. But to take a haircut and leave bangs in the front, it's mamish also 100%. Regarding the bacher that has already long hair, he's not taking a haircut and just leaving some in the front. Everything is long the same. So now to make it a style, that's called mesalsel beside. And for that it says in Tanya, it says in Chassidus in many places, and it was starting from Yosef HaTzadik, that when a person is mesalsel beside, he makes his long hair into a style, that's a problem, it's connected to Klippa. And that's why Yosef HaTzadik was punished. Yosef HaTzadik, since he was so holy, so that's why even the slightest thing, just making a hairstyle with his long hair, already caused him to sit in jail for 12 years. So we're not on that level, so if we make a hairstyle, we're not going to end up in jail, Mitzvah Hashem, not for 12 years, or 12 days, or 12 hours, or even less. But the point is that it's for sure connected to Klippa. It brings a person upon himself, a Klippa and a Tumah upon the person. What happened to Roman? Where'd he go? Will he return? The Bacher from last year understands this. We had a janitor, his name was Roman. And like all janitors and all yeshivas, they become an icon. Rebachim have stories about them and all the things that they did and they didn't do. So Rebachim are missing Roman. You guys don't know there was Taras. No one remembers Taras. Oh, you remember Taras? You don't remember.
I remember when he died.
When he died. No. Taras was a janitor over here, and then one day he just dropped dead. But no, after he stopped working for us. So, but Roman is working. Roman's back is not well. He's older, so he can't schlep anymore. So he stopped working for us. How is it possible that Talmidei Chachamim Go'enim mitkalkelim, they go down, they become bad? L'moshel, the Baruch gives a long list of people now. Koirach, and I can't say lahavdil, not lahavdil, but it's very, the list mamish doesn't fit. Just Koirach is one, Shaul HaMelech, Menashe HaMelech, Yochanan Kohen Gadol, Yanai HaMelech, Chonyoy, Bar Kamtza, Oisei Ho'ish, Acher, Shabtai Tzvi, Shimon HaKofer. Whoa. A lot of these people are very, very far apart. You can't begin to put Shaul HaMelech together with Koirach, and you can't put, it's just very, very off. The list is very off. But Akabanim, the question is a question, but the list is a very off list. Some of these people were mamish showing through and through. Some of them were tzaddikim, and there's a slight hard in their lives. But Akabanim, the point is that the answer is that there's always something called bchira chavshis. A person always has freedom of choice. No matter how holy a person may be, a person can always choose to do the wrong thing. The example, Tanya one day, Perek Yud, the example is like this. If you want, you can go into the bathroom and eat what's inside the toilet. No one is stopping you. And no one's ever going to do such a thing because it grosses us out. For a tzaddik, he has no interest in doing any Aveda because it grosses him out. But if he wants to, he could. Someone challenges him and makes a bet or whatever he wants, he actually could. So Al-Derech said the tzaddik, no matter how holy he may be, the tzaddik always, if he wants, he can choose to do an Aveda. That's the simple answer. Regarding some of these people, the question doesn't begin because they were never tzaddikim. Some of these people, it says that even they seem to be goyim, they were already then reading goyish books and doing other things. So let's again, but the word tzaddikim that seemingly towards the end of their lives, and Navi talks about it, someone that's a tzaddik his whole life, and at the end he changes his mind. So how's that possible? So the answer is just always bechira chavshis. You always can choose to do what's right and what's wrong. That remains with you your entire life. If a whole nation witnessed Matan Torah and the stories were passed down, how was there different opinions in the details of the stories? Just give one example to what this Bacher is asking. There's when the Seres Hadibris, when they were said out loud, so there's a Machlekes, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel, what did they answer? So one says they answered every question, yes, right? No matter what was said, they just said yes, yes. And the other one says no. If it was a mitzvah say, they said yes. Or if it's lois say, they said no. According to the other opinion, when he said lois yirtzach, yes, that's the pshat. There's a whole Sikha Rebbe which actually fits very well with the meaning of saying yes in a random, stupid kind of way. Those kind of people that say it, but ain't kind of a the question is, how can there be an argument if they said yes or not? With it's either this way or that. And many other stories in Midrashim as well about Matan Torah and other things too. How can there be machlokes? So to answer this question, I want to give a Haggadah of something seemingly unrelated, but that will maybe give an explanation. By the Rebbe's Fabrengens, after the Fabrengens there was Chazorah. Chazorah, the Rebbe would speak for hours and hours, and then the Chassidim had to sit down and they had to reconstruct whatever the Rebbe said. In the weekdays they had videos, the Shabbos, so it was all from memory. So they sat down a group of Chassidim and they started saying what the Rebbe said this, the Rebbe said that, and each one is contributing what he remembers. And slowly, after sitting for a few hours or more than that, they're able to write it down and come up with the clarity of what the Rebbe said completely from the beginning of the Fabrengen and the Fabrengen. And it's understandable. So sometimes there were arguments. The Rebbe said this, the Rebbe said that. One of the big challenges, besides of the memory, when the Rebbe's Fabrengens, the Rebbe would often go off topic. The Rebbe would go off topic, but the Rebbe wouldn't say he's going off topic. He would just start speaking about something else. And then the Rebbe would go back on topic. And it was very hard for people that weren't following properly to notice when is the Rebbe going off topic and when is he on topic. What's his main shear? What's his main thing he's talking about? And what's the Rechagav he's bringing in? And you'll see in the Fabrengens when it's written down, you'll have sometimes parentheses, you have brackets. Who decided his brackets over here? That's the Chassidim. When they were writing it down, they realized what's a bracket, what's off topic, what's on topic. Most Chassidim had a very hard time figuring out what's on topic, what's off topic. The one that they say had the biggest chush, he always was able to realize what's on topic and off topic, is Rabbi Yoel Khan. Rabbi Yoel Khan was, besides having a phenomenal memory and being a genius and all that, he was able to chap what's the Rebbe saying, what's the main sikha, and what's the rachag. So I was told there was one time a story that the Chassidim were doing the Chazorah, and there was an argument between Rabbi Yoel and everybody else. I don't know how many people there were, 10, 15, whatever it was. They all said, the Rebbe said point A and then point B, and Rabbi Yoel said no, it was point B and then point A. So they were arguing what came first, this or that. So I heard the stories that later the Chassidim understood that they think that they were right. The Rebbe actually said this before this. But if you understand the message the Rebbe is trying to say, then point B comes before point A. So Rabbi Yoel, who was focused so much on the teichen of what's happening, and not so much on the words and the jokes and the things that Rebbe is saying in between here and there, so therefore by him it was clear that the second point is really the first point, because he understood it so well. So he was arguing, no, the Rebbe said that first. But the Chassidim that were more chitzonius in a way, just focusing on the words, so they heard, no, the Rebbe said this first, not second. So far so good? Yeah. Ulay al derech zeh, when it came to Matan Torah and all these things, a lot of things were going on. They were saying yes, and they were saying no, and they were saying everything else together, and all the other miracles that happened over there. So some people focused on certain aspects, and they said this came first. This actually was said first. But some people looked at it from a different perspective, and they said, no, this is what really happened. This is what came first. Now, the Payal Mamish, there's only one way of saying what happened. Meaning, the Payal Mamish, if there would have been a video, you wouldn't have different cameras and seeing different things. There would have been only one image of one thing that happened. And by the Rebbe's Fabrengen, the Rebbe Fabrengen, only one side would be right. Probably the other side, not Rabbi, and how the Rebbe said it. But at the same time, even though the video, even though the scene happened in this sequence of events, but really, you can look at it from such a perspective and realize that it's different. So Al Derech said everything, all the Midrashim. So there's the simple pshat, the simple story that happened, which had to have happened only in one way. But later, some people noticed some things, and some people noticed something else, so they pointed it out. So even though seemingly sometimes the Midrashim are saying an actual story, they either said yes or they said no. But if you understand what they were saying, the teichen of what they were saying was either yes or no. Meaning it's not just in the words, it's the pnimius of their acceptance. So Al Derech said all the other stories and miracles that happened, so even though seemingly some of them are talking about only Gashmius, and it's either this way or that way, everything has a deeper meaning. And in the deeper meaning there's an argument about what's the focus, what's the ikr. Ulay Yishlev. Why can't we listen to non-Jewish music? One of the FAQs, frequently asked questions in Q&A. The answer is like this. The answer is there's a number of pratim. Probably every time that I get this question I say something else because there's probably more to talk about it. Actually I have a booklet of 50 pages on not from a Lubavitcher, from some snag guy from Bnei Brak, 50 pages going on, sources and things and why not. But Al Kopanim, in short, there's basically